Hello, friends, and welcome. Inspired by the weather outside, I've been wanting to make a story about how fall came into being. And strangely enough, today's story is quite short. But nonetheless, why don't you go get something to drink, find yourself a blanket, and just lean back while I tell you the story? Okay? Good. So I guess snuggle up. In the beginning, the world didn't know change. There was only one long golden summer, and the sun lingered endlessly in a sky that never dimmed. And day after day, the air shimmered with heat and sweetness. Rivers ran bright and unbroken, their songs clear and tireless. Flowers opened wide and never closed. Nothing faded and nothing ended. Leaves clung proudly to their branches, trembling with light, but never loosening their hold. Blossoms spilled their fragrance again and again, yet never lost their color. Even the wind was lazy and soft, carrying only warmth and the hum of bees. But beneath all that brilliance, the earth began to sigh. For though everything above thrived in ceaseless bloom, the roots below pressed deeper into silence. Stones grew hot and weary beneath the unsetting sun. The forests, heavy with life, began to murmur in their sleep. And slowly something deep within the world, older than soil, older than light, began to long for stillness. And so, one evening, though there had never been an evening before, the light began to soften. The sun sank lower, dipping for the first time into a pool of amber and rose. The air grew thick and still, as if the world were holding its breath. High up in an ancient tree, one leaf trembled. Its stem, thin and tired, had grown ready to release. The branch that held it shivered once, and then, with a faint sigh, let go. The leaf fell. Slowly, gently turned through the quiet air. As it drifted downward, its green deepened into copper, then melted into gold, and finally faded to the soft brown of cooling embers. It landed upon the earth without a sound, and then, from the place where it touched, the ground stirred. Out of its curled shape rose a figure, slender as a birch, luminous as a setting sun. Her skin shimmered with bronze undertones, her hair tangled with firelight and dust. When she opened her eyes, two deep wells of burnt amber. The forest drew its first breath of awe. She exhaled, and her sigh became the first true wind. It rolled softly through the trees, and wherever it passed, the green leaves began to blush. Their color deepened into scarlet, then bled into golden russet. The trees murmured in 1,000 trembling voices, creaking with both grief and relief. And for the first time, the forest smelled of sap and smoke and the faint sweetness of decay. Thus the world began to change. The river slowed, pausing to watch the colors unfold upon their mirrored surfaces. The grass leaned inward, listening, and even the mountains, ancient and unmoving, seemed to tilt their stony heads, curious to witness what had been born. As she walked among the trees, the figure's bare feet brushed over moss and petals, and the ground beneath her cooled. Flowers bowed their heads in reverence, fruits swelled into ripeness, heavy, fragrant and golden, and then dropped, not from death, but from completion. Wherever she passed, the air itself seemed to exhale. In groves of young birch, the leaves quivered between devotion and hesitation. In the courts of tall oaks, proud and unyielding, branches bent in slow, sonorous greetings. And all the while, the wind followed her faithfully, first curious, then tender, and at last devoted, wrapping itself through her hair and carrying her scent of smoke and fruit in fading light across the sleeping hills. In this way, the world came to know her. She was not born of flame, nor sky, nor any god or creature. She came from the earth's own longing to rest, its wish to know the beauty of release. Within her lived both splendor and sorrow, the shimmering grace of life's final moments, and the quiet mercy that follows. No name had yet been spoken in those days. But if words had existed, the world would have called her Letha, the soft sound of letting go. Under her hand, the first dusk fell. The sun sank willingly, painting the clouds in bruised purples and red embers. The rivers cooled into silver ribbons. Mist rose from the ground like the slow breath of something sleeping. And above it all, the first stars appeared, startled and newborn, trembling in their new darkness. Letha knelt beside a pond and watched her reflection tremble upon the water, pale, flickering, like a candle seen through smoke. She touched the surface, and the ripples spread outward in widening rings. Wherever they reached, stillness followed, deep and sure. Birdsong dimmed, and the voices of the forest softened to a low whisper. The world, which had never known quiet before, sank into a silence that was not emptiness, but peace. When at last the wind rose again, it came colder, crisp and clean, scented with soil and ripened fruit. It carried the promise that things would fall, and fall beautifully. Letha smiled then, though her smile was tinged with sadness. She laid down upon the forest floor, among the leaves that had fallen after her. They gathered around her, gently, as if recognizing one of their own. Her eyes closed, and her breath slowed until it became indistinguishable from the breeze that drifted through the trees. The world's first true autumn wind. When morning came, the first true morning After the first true night, she was gone. Only the forest remained, cloaked in amber and gold, whispering her story to the wind. And so, every year, when the air cools and the trees begin their quiet surrender, the world remembers her, the leaf who fell not from weakness, but from wisdom. For it was Letha, the first leaf to fall, who taught the earth how to rest, and in doing so, gave it the grace to begin again.